Okay, picture this. You walk away from a totally failed corporate takeover, but instead of a bruised ego, you walk away with a cool $2.8 billion in cash. Sounds crazy, right? Well, welcome to today's explainer. We are unpacking Netflix's colossal $12.25 billion first quarter. But more importantly, we're going to dig into exactly how their content, their tech, and their monetization are all working together to drive their long-term business goals. Let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The Netflix growth engine. 2. Content beyond core streaming. 3. Technology and AI. 4. Monetization through the ad tier. And finally, 5. The Virtuous Cycle.
All right, Section 1, the Netflix growth engine, a saturated market mystery.
So here's the big question. How does a company that already absolutely dominates a saturated market actually plan to keep growing? I mean, wrap your head around these numbers for a second. 325 million global subscribers, $12.25 billion in Q1 revenue alone. That's a 16% year-over-year jump. They are literally capturing around 85% of the total profit in the streaming space right now, completely dwarfing legacy media. But as you know, you can't just coast on past success. So how on earth does this engine keep turning?
Well, it all comes down to 3 core pillars that they laid out in their recent shareholder letter: content, technology, and monetization. And throughout this explainer, I really want you to keep one thing in mind. These are not just isolated departments. They are an interconnected growth engine. Each pillar actively accelerates the others to achieve Netflix's ultimate long-term business goals, which are expanding their margins and keeping subscribers locked in globally.
Moving right along to Section 2, content, beyond core streaming.
To really grasp this first pillar, we have to recognize that content means something entirely different to Netflix today than it did a few years ago. They are aggressively moving beyond just core streaming. First up, live sports and entertainment. They literally locked up WWE Raw in a staggering 10-year, $5 billion deal, not to mention live NFL games. Second, video podcasts. They've teamed up with Spotify for big hitters like the Bill Simmons podcast and announced original shows from talent like Brian Williams. And third, cloud gaming. They just dropped Netflix Playground, which is a standalone kids gaming app, all while pushing the envelope with cloud TV gaming. And if you're wondering why they're doing all this, co-CEO Ted Sarandos actually hit the nail on the head. He said these events typically have outsized positives for conversation, for acquisition, and, we strongly suspect, retention. See, the strategy here is to win the moments of truth. They want to be the default destination for highly engaging cultural tentpole events, rather than just buying up standard regular season sports packages. It's all about capturing your long-term attention. And honestly, the data absolutely backs this up. Just look at their first major regional live event, the World Baseball Classic in Japan. That alone pulled in 31.4 million viewers and sparked their largest single day of signups ever in that country. Insane, right? Then you look at the BTS Comeback Live concert. 18.4 million viewers globally, rocketing into the weekly top 10 in 80 different countries. These highly targeted live cultural moments are delivering a massive return on investment.
Okay, Section 3, technology, AI, and experience.
Now, serving up all that diverse content requires some seriously pioneering tech. Netflix is making massive moves here, recently jumping back into the M&A space to buy a company called InterPositive. This is an AI-powered filmmaking tech firm founded by, get this, Ben Affleck. It's built to give creators generative AI tools that actually understand visual logic and editorial consistency. And let me be clear, this is not just some trendy gimmick. It's a calculated long-term play to make their multi-billion-dollar production pipeline vastly more efficient and cost-effective over the next decade. This creates a really fascinating long-term technological ecosystem. It works kind of like a snowball effect. Step 1, they empower creators with those GenAI tools from InterPositive to make storytelling faster and more impactful. Step 2, they use advanced AI models to deliver hyper-personalized content recommendations right to you, the viewer. And Step 3, that targeted delivery drives much higher platform engagement. So the tech is basically acting as a massive force multiplier for their content investments. Tech also completely dictates how we interact with the platform itself. Later this month, Netflix is launching an updated mobile experience that features a vertical video discovery feed. They are constantly tweaking and redesigning the user interface to match exactly how modern audiences want to scroll and discover this expanding universe of entertainment.
Next up, Section 4, monetization, the ad tier explosion.
So, the obvious question.
How do you pay for a $5 billion WWE deal and cutting-edge AI? Well, that leads us to their ultimate growth lever. In 2025, their ad revenue set at $1.5 billion. For 2026, they are targeting $3 billion. They are quite literally aiming to double their ad revenue year over year. Advertising is definitely no longer just a little side experiment for them. It is absolutely central to the economics of their entire large-scale streaming model.
But the real jaw-dropper is in the sign-up data. In markets that actually have the ad tier, it accounted for over 60% of all Q1 signups. 60%! Think about that. The $8.99 ad-supported plan is now the main front door for customer acquisition. This is their long-term engine to capture price-sensitive viewers while simultaneously building a totally new dual revenue stream for the company.
And let me tell you, the ad industry is eating it up. Netflix now boasts over 4,000 advertisers on the platform. That's up 70% year over year. It just proves that top brands and media agencies are practically knocking down the door to get their ads inside Netflix's premium, highly engaged environment.
But they are playing this super smart. First, they integrated with Amazon DSP, which makes it insanely easy for brands to buy ad space programmatically. Second, they're keeping the ad load really low, like around just 4 minutes per hour, to protect the vibe of the platform. And third, they're rolling out tools using their own first-party data to prove incrementality, basically showing advertisers the exact business outcomes their Netflix ads generated. By protecting the viewer experience right alongside monetization, they're safeguarding their brand equity and their long-term subscriber base.
All right, Section 5, the Virtuous Cycle. Let's tie it all together.
This is where all these pieces snap together into one cohesive engine. Better monetization, driven by that exploding ad tier, allows Netflix to fund massive investments. They then take that cash and pour it into incredible new content, like the live sports and gaming we just talked about, and pioneering AI tech to boost the value for members. Because that value is higher, viewer engagement naturally rises. And that right there is the core of their long-term business goals, lowering churn while compounding revenue and profit growth year after year. Then, the whole cycle just repeats, spinning faster and faster.
Now, Netflix's management insists their main focus is still on organic growth, producing, licensing, and partnering. But we absolutely cannot ignore their aggressive ambition, which actually brings us full circle to that giant $2.8 billion breakup fee from their attempted takeover of Warner Bros. That we mentioned at the start. They might say they prefer to build, but they clearly have the cash and the appetite to swallow up legacy media assets if the price is right.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to ponder. When you look at the billions rolling in from ads, the pivot to global live sports, original podcasts, kids gaming, and AI filmmaking tools, is Netflix really just a streaming company anymore? Or are we watching them evolving into something entirely new? A totally different kind of global entertainment ecosystem? I hope this explainer helped you decode the massive strategy at play here. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.